because it's the silly, stupid, fascinating, weird, wonderful. They're my people, and more often than not, they're the geeky people as well.
I mentioned Betamax. For anybody older, that's the old version of a video cassette. Video cassette is an old version of a DVD. A DVD is not set as a cloud. Welcome, geeks of all flavours and persuasions, interests, and the things that are popular and unpopular, whether it's flower arranging to forestry, whether it's kind of board games to boring games, that maybe doesn't work, or from the ins and inner workings of the universe to the inner workings of the human mind and beyond. Welcome, all welcome. And welcome, Becca. How are you today?
I'm marvellous. Hello, lovely people.
Today we are going to be joined by Luke, but before we kind of bring him on, I thought it would be important to mention that following conversations of last week and podcasts and otherwise, we realised that we might just kind of edge into those waters of podcasting. I don't know where that imagery was going there, but kind of shimmying into the water of podcasting, because for some people it's just not that kind of straightforward to watch a video or sit in front of YouTube for an hour. So we thought we'd give it a go, and so on Cybersten / blah 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 blah. I'm sure a banner will appear there. That's going to be where the podcast, you can kind of access it, but it's through something called Acast. That's what I'm signed up with. And we'll see how it rolls out. I'm trying to kind of get it onto the usual places, but we have to register and all that malarkey too. So we begin with the very first question of what have we been up to this week? What geekiness have we been doing and beyond? Becca, have you been up to anything geeky?
I tested my geeky inventory this week. I have watched Fifth Element in the past week.
Cool.
Good classic.
Multipass.
Hunger Games.
Very cool.
Multipass. Chicken. Chicken good. Every time I have chicken, I have to quote Fifth Element. What else have I done? Tinker on my ukulele for 20 minutes before Faith and Geekery, so that I can say I did something other than Second Life and watch movies.
Very good. Well, that's fine as well, though. If it's just movies, that is, enough to be geeky about. I found Leeds Wood Recycling, which is an industrial unit, because basically I am needing to do this TARDIS. And whilst I remember, we have had a bit of a conversation behind the scenes, and we're going to nudge our Doctor Who special back a couple of weeks, aren't we? Because we realised that if we were going to keep to the 60th birthday date, it would be before any of the specials have screened, and therefore we're going to do it in December. You're looking at me, Becca, as if I'm going to be making it up.
No, this is curiosity and wonder.
So it will be on I think it's the 5th. Yes, the 5th of December. Remember the 5th of December, we're all talking about Doctor Who, and we may or may not have guests or otherwise, but yes, Doctor Who themed. And we may or may not have a TARDIS stood behind me, but let's see how that goes. Folks, please do kind of leave a comment or otherwise what sort of geekiness that you've been up to, what sort of hobbies, interests, and it doesn't have to be the standard ones. It could be something that you just love to dabble in. I won't mention who, but I had an email today from somebody who sort of said, "Oh, I'm not really a geek. I'm more of a nerd." And I was just like, "Oh, I want to unpick that so very much to kind of explore what does that mean." So if you are into kind of, making kind of weird ketchups or otherwise, sorry, that feels as if I've made a judgment there already. That's really harsh.
I'm hearing the judgment calls of
Yes,
your
I should be. That
geeky
shouldn't have been a
nerdiness.
judgment. That shouldn't have been a judgment. That would be. I can't remember the exact term of it. Is it ho ketchup?
I'm sorry, what? Pardon me?
I'm just going to check on my phone now, which is going to be great for people watching, because I'm really concerned that I've got the wrong.
You musical interlude.
Ho ketchup. So yes, even more debatable. So let's move on. I had to. And that reminds me, on the podcast, I've had to put it for explicit, just in case if any of us swear. So don't make, don't test that, please, Becca. But that is that's something that I have realised I had to do just to kind of cover our backs. But I'm sure we're going to usually be quite clean and straightforward. That's completely unrelated to
we
the
will
whole
endeavour to be so until we are
HAW
not.
ketchup. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? So we are coming to our geeky news. Are we up for a bit of geeky news there?
Oh, I love a bit of geeky news.
Here we go.
Hello, welcome to Geeky News, and I need to start off from last week's Geeky News where we talked about the Marvels. I think the critics had maybe been a little bit too harsh on the Marvels and what we were expecting from it. But as audience attend the cinema, they seem to be a lot more upbeat, and it seems to be a much more upbeat, fun, happy, and really exciting movie. So we'll wait to see, and maybe I should book tickets in the end after all. Loki 2 has come to an end on Disney Plus. If you've not seen it yet, no spoilers from me, but oh my gosh, I think it's a fantastic end to series 2, and that was fantastic, absolutely amazing. In other news, Netflix is all about sharing what is going on, and now that the writer's strike has finished, I think Sandman Series 2 is coming soon, Stranger Things Season 5, but due to the strikes, yes, I think all these things are going to be in the pipeline, and so Stranger Things Season 5 might be available come 2024, but I'm sure it'll be the back end, if not 2025. So a long wait for Stranger Things fans and Sandman 2. Anyway, that's all for Geeky News. Thank you.
So, geeky news. Any of those things appeal at you? Jump out at you? That was the one I was going for.
Well, we have already talked just before we came on air how I need to. I feel it's part of this job now. I need to watch Loki. It'll be a binge watch. I think. Can I watch it in a Saturday?
Oh yeah. I think they vary actually, and this is the kind of new format of like these kind of streaming services where they don't kind of have to fit to a broadcasting schedule. Oh man,
schedule.
That's going to be exciting viewing. Mark and Becky, schedule.
Schedule.
Is one American and one English? Not sure. But yeah, do you know what I mean? They don't have to fit to it. So is it 36 minutes? Is it 56 minutes? So I think easily in a day and have some snacks maybe. I was really kind of amazed by it really, and how much we often, I think Marvel have been so successful, we often kind of relegate it to kind of like, oh yeah, big blockbusters, they're doing a formula. I think Loki series 2, but also Loki, I think, has really just knocked it out of the park to say, yeah, you know what, we still have that creativity, we still can kind of take you on a merry journey without you second guessing everything. And I think that's why I wanted to report back on Marvels as well. It seemed that the critics are very keen to jump on the bandwagon and go, oh yeah, the Marvels, what's it all about? But actually it's been really good to see the audience, I was about to say congregation, the audience to see sort of like a
what makes
real
it
honesty.
Geekery.
It's another screenshot there. So yeah, an opportunity for folks to kind of to say, actually, what, it's really good, and it doesn't have to be kind of really heavy, or so I think it's really exciting what the actual audiences have said, rather than just the kind of critics and otherwise. So I guess I want to take back what I said last week about that. And then
it shows the success. I don't know if you remember when Apple first launched, along with I think Netflix and Prime, their new standard of streaming. So they had A-list celebrities endorsing what they were doing next across those platforms. And I was skeptical. That you could get the feel of a blockbuster movie on your television. And actually, because of the breakdown of the storyline, because there's more opportunity to deepen how you go with people's narratives, it does feel like it's been a successful, I don't know if it's an experiment, but certainly that successful shift that you can take A-list celebrities, put them into not daytime television, but the short little episodes, and it still feel like you're watching high quality entertainment.
Well, the whole kind of the way that we kind of I was about to say, like, inhale entertainment has changed, hasn't it? Rather than kind of a broadcasting station that says, oh, well, you're going to be interested in this kind of program for 1.5 an hour once a week, and kind of Netflix kind of put it into our hands quite literally with, was it a DVD originally? Was it Netflix DVDs that they sold originally, and then moved on to streaming, and then and therefore it's then suddenly going, well, actually, it's up to you when you want to watch it. Boom, dropping it all in one go. And now it's kind of, I'm still intrigued to know how successful the streaming platform is, because I know that Disney Plus got in trouble with previous CEO of somebody in charge of the Disney Plus series. He was basically lying about how successful it was and profits and otherwise, and he got into trouble. Netflix had to kind of revisit the whole passwordy, now kind of two-factor identification stuff, because people were just borrowing each other's passwords. If that's available to do, then people will do it. And so so I think we're still on this journey. And I think it's also not just TV either, because I saw just the other day about DAB radios, and about how I think the BBC and kind of mainstream services want us to believe that DAB radio, as in digital radio, is very popular, but actually it's still only about, I think, 37% of the market. So 60-something% of people still with analog, still with kind of FM radio. And so therefore, actually, it's not always the future is bright in digital. Actually, core of people still kind of going, nah, you're right, thanks. And I think you've got to kind of recognize that some of these tech bubbles as well, unlike Facebook, Meta, with their kind of their metaverse, it's just an illustration of, actually, we have these visionaries, we have this technology which looks fantastic, and it's all singing, all dancing, but ultimately, actually, if it doesn't hit, if it doesn't land, and this is where insert conversation about Betamax, like the intro, if it doesn't land, people go, no, it's not for us. And so you might have the best product in the world, but if it doesn't land with people's lives or otherwise,
right time, right place, right audience,
which is why we're also going to release this on cassette tape, as Geekery. Not really. Anyway, but we are just going to
old people jokes.
Yes. We're going to, talking of old people, no. We are going to bring on Luke, who is not an older person, I don't think. I'm sure you're
useful,
many years
sprightly Luke.
Yes,
that's entirely down to your perspective, I think. I have aged in the last fortnight.
Anything in particular with that, or do you want to unpin that?
I can, if you like. I turned 30 on the 1st of November. It was a very exciting time. I feel infinitely wiser already. It's wonderful. But yeah, no, I had many questions from people asking, do you feel all right changing from being in your 20s to being in your 30s? And I think if you asked me that question a year ago, I would have said, no, not at all. I feel that this is completely wrong. However, I think I've come to terms with it. I think I quite enjoy, being an elder statesman in a way now. It's quite nice.
As someone who is now 42, good luck with the next zero change. And I think
that one's just as joyous.
I think for me, the turning over to 30 was fine, and I was like, you know what, it is just a number. It is literally just going from one to the next. But actually, the going over to 40, I don't know if that was because I was like kind of lockdowns and COVID, and otherwise that felt hit a bit harder. I was just like, oh, I feel this one a little bit more, but I'm gonna smile about it. But I was like, oh, yep, feeling that just no longer young and youthful. And I sort of mentioned that to somebody at work, and they're like, well, you're not young anymore, are you? And I was just like, well, I do work for the Methodist Church, so I feel perpetually young. But yes,
I keep getting redefined as young in the Methodist Church. It's quite nice. Every time I age out, they redefine it to include my age group again. It's lovely.
Absolutely. Anyway, Luke, welcome to the show again. You've been a guest before, and yes, you've turned 30. Because obviously, we mentioned this in Geeks Gallery. Was it last week or the week before when you showed your watch? Which we may delve back into a little bit later. Before that, is there anything to mention about geeky news or anything else that I've not picked up on? I just,
Oh, news-wise, no. In terms of my own personal geekery, I had the joy of having a day off yesterday, where I got to do whatever I wanted because my daughter was at nursery, my wife was at work, and so I got to go into town. I visited the Warhammer shop. I spent far too much money in the Warhammer shop. I had a long chat with the person in there. I bought some paints. It was truly joyous. Getting to just enjoy some of that strange freedom that I don't think we all appreciate until we are older that exists when you are in your early 20s. But yeah, I had a really lovely day. Did some modeling, not photography modeling.
I was going to say we should just kind of be clear.
It's about time they snapped you up, Luke.
But yeah, had a really lovely day. So that's been and yeah, got to watch some of the shows that I've been wanting to catch up on for ages. So yeah, your endorsement of watching Loki, definitely well worth it. And I was surprised how much I enjoyed it because I hadn't been enjoying some of the more recent Marvel shows. I think I'd just fallen off the wagon a bit, but this definitely was a massive return to form, and I really enjoyed it.
Definitely. And I think for me is I was second guessing, and I dived into a bit of a rabbit hole of following kind of various websites and otherwise kind of going, oh, did you notice this kind of Easter egg? Did you notice this bit? Oh, this is where it's going to lead. And I'm just like, I'm all for it, and then it's just like, oh, but they're obviously, anyway. I don't want to hype it up anymore because I think that's the problem, isn't it? We sometimes hype these things up, and therefore,
it's one of the things that tweaked in my mind when you were talking about the surge that we've had in really high quality TV that I've really enjoyed has been that it's given time for some of these stories to breathe. I think sometimes by trying to cram something into a film. Harry Potter is always the thing that comes to mind because when I was little and I was reading the books and then I got a bit older and the films came out, I would always moan about, well, why didn't they put this bit in? They haven't spent enough time doing this. They didn't do this. And this is one of my favorite jokes. Why didn't they do that? And actually,
never pulled sausages out of his pocket when he went to the island. No. Very upsetting.
And so, giving something that time to really enjoy exploring characters I love and just giving it enough room to breathe I think is so underappreciated, because it's just all about, how much money can you squeeze out of something, and giving it that time. I love it.
I think you're right, isn't it? Because it's like I'm going to use Red Dwarf as an illustration, because we had like Red Dwarf was kind of doing a successful series, and it was following the BBC model of kind of 6 episodes per series, and and then in those days, and I say that recognizing that we are in a different kind of era now of TV and film, because we often talked about going, oh, it would be really cool if they did a film of it. And so therefore they could kind of spend an hour and a half doing stuff, and then kind of when that hits, it was all right. Very good. And then kind of we've kind of come full circle now to saying actually it's much better to have an even longer series, even longer. And these are kind of, and the amount of money that's going into these isn't kind of the standard amount, but actually big blockbuster amounts of money. And I think even with going an episode without mentioning Doctor Who, that you kind of got Russell T Davies now in kind of cahoots with BBC and Disney Plus, which has upped their budget level. So hopefully these are going to be much more blockbuster, because they're kind of entering into this kind of long, expansive, let it breathe kind of opportunity, rather than just the kind of, well, we want something to fill our broadcast time and appease the fans, yes, but actually it needs to be 50 minutes, and if it's not, then it gets cut. So I think it will be very exciting to see how these things develop. So
definitely. And speaking of which, in terms of geeky news, for anyone who is a fan of Bluey, which in our household is everybody, there is going to be a 28-minute episode of Bluey coming in 2024. I cannot wait.
Very good. Yeah, it is good. And I think even with a 6 and now 9-year-old, we still kind of watch Bluey. If we still kind of throw it up occasionally, I still kind of look around on Disney Plus to see if there's any more episodes dropped, just in case.
They sometimes sneak them out. Sometimes they're just like, oh yeah, there's an extra one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that there's one called the Fairy Tale, and it's like, where is it set? The 80s.
Yeah,
and I think it's just hilarious. Anyway, let's move on. I think we now have a quiz, which I now look towards Becca.
Is it quiz time?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh, I'm so ready for a quiz time. Do we have a quiz theme tune?
Yes, 3, 2, 1, go. For those on the podcast,
are you ready now? In honor of the lovely Luke, this is in honor of the lovely Luke. This is a theme-based, a time-based quiz. So, question number 1: name 5 ways to measure time.
Do I need to be writing things down, or can I answer in person?
Write it down. Well, and
also, am I the only one that does Becca sound like a robot to you, Mark, or is that just me?
You're breaking up a little bit, which is why I wasn't being rude. I didn't think you talked. You see, it was breaking up.
Do I still sound like a robot?
You both sound like robots now.
Oh.
Well, no. Oh.
I don't think
Mark doesn't sound like a robot to me.
No.
Oh.
I think it was just Becca's visuals that were breaking up slightly. Not her audio.
How am I doing now?
My audio is completely gone.
And then you'll never know.
Oh no, Luke's audio is completely gone. That's really a shame. Should we take him off for a moment? Or are you trying audio? Can you hear us?
Bear with me.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to keep on talking to ponder about this measurement of time. I'm really intrigued to know exactly what sort of way you're meaning by this.
5 ways to measure time. I will accept any broad answer if you can justify it.
Okay.
A ruler. I would not count.
Right. Okay. Here we go. Oh, Luke's completely gone.
He'll come back.
When he comes back, but this gives me a moment to write an essay on this kind of on thing.
Only 5. Right. You don't get more points.
1, 2, 3, 4. Where's it?
If you were a pirate, how would you measure time?
Oh, I think this must be a joke about yards.
No, it's not. I wish it was a joke now.
Hello, Luke. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Excellent. Oh, excellent. I'm not sure what went on there. Sorry about that.
Oh, we can hear you better, though. That's really good.
Is that better? Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So we're still on question 1.
Yeah, we were waiting for you.
We're still on question 1. Name 5 ways to measure time.
I've done.
Am I writing these down? Sorry.
Yeah. I've got a bit of scrap of paper. I'm writing them down.
I will ask you before I give the answers, which are fairly nebulous on that one, what your answers were. So
mine are not nebulous.
Excellent.
No, anything but.
Okay. Question number 2. Complete the chorus. Now I've had the time of my life, and name the 1987 film in which it featured as the theme song. I can see you singing in your head, Mark.
And you say, oh, which one is it? Oh, it's not that one. It's the other one.
Film.
And the film.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's and I know I can quote it, bits of it, not all of it, because don't be silly. Oh, it's not that one. Oh, I don't think I've got the right film. I've got Kevin Bacon instead.
That is also a good film, though.
Not in that film.
No, I know.
Right. Question number 3. Which invention made it necessary for English towns and cities to introduce a nationwide standard time instead of local times? Which invention made it necessary for English towns and cities to introduce a nationwide standard time instead of local times?
I think I know that one. Oh, that film is going to really annoy me. That is going to really annoy me. It's not that. No one puts baby in a corner.
Yes, that is going to really annoy you. Sorry, I'm giving Luke tips there as well, aren't I?
I'm fairly confident with my answer.
It's really annoying me.
Okay. Question number 4. Name 5 different types of watch.
Ooh, when you say types, what do you mean, Becca?
Types, Luke.
Types. Okay.
Types. Name 5 different ones, but only 5, Luke. Only 5. Pick your favourite.
It's very noticeable.
Long pauses on a podcast.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's very true, isn't it?
Is they good?
Looking ponderously into the...
Mark looks perplexed towards the ceiling. Mark may or may not need to change his underwear.
I think that's a bit brutal. Right.
Question number 5.
Oh, I haven't done all 5 of those yet.
Okay, right. 2 more seconds. 1.
I'm not going to brag, but I'm on 10.
I will deduct. You were told 5, Luke.
I've done 5. Very dodgy.
Question number 5. To the nearest minutes, what time did our favourite Time Lord first appear on the BBC on the 23rd of November, 1963?
Oh, well. Oh, it's really annoying because there's 2 times in my head. Because, can I tell you a little geeky fact?
Yes, tell us the geeky fact.
The first time it was broadcast, I believe, didn't someone famous die? Was it even a king or somebody? No, whoever in 63 died, and therefore they had to rerun it, and they decided to rerun it a week later because it didn't get the kind of the attention. I can't remember who died. Was it a politician or somebody died in a big way, and therefore they kind of decided
to... died in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, as in it was like a big national thing, or even what was it?
Was it an American president?
Well, I'm thinking, is it Kennedy? But I didn't want to look because my history knowledge is absolutely rubbish.
It might be Kennedy.
1963.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think that could have been Kennedy being assassinated.
Yeah.
Oh, GMT, Greenwich Mean Time.
Oh yeah, sorry, which time zone? Oh, sorry, I've been busy trying to do the question.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I caught it in the end.
Oh, it seems like I can't actually load up my comments anyway. Oh, that's gonna be fun, and also fun for podcast viewers. Mark is trying to stare at the screen.
Mark stares at the screen. He looks like he's in pain.
I have lost controls over this sort of stuff, which is going to be fun later. But I've learned my lesson from last time. I'm going to keep going, but I have lost all controls at this end. Was this the last time you were on, in fact, Luke? I can't help but feel that...
It was. Myself and Tim had to vamp for about 10 minutes, and it went all right.
Yep, my computer is...
I'm hoping it's nothing to do with me.
Yes,
that's okay. I have... My buttons are still working.
Good. Then I'm going to leave us in Becca's safe hands. Right.
Becca laughs manically. Oh, wait, I did that. Right, okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, I've changed my last answer very quickly.
So question number 1, you're going to give me 5 ways that you measure time.
Yeah,
Luke,
okay.
Do you want to kick us off, and then Mark can just follow?
Shall we? Do you want to alternate?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, so my first answer was a sundial.
My first answer is digital clock.
Okay.
My second answer was a sand timer.
Okay.
You said, by the way, Becca, by telling the time, wasn't it? So I've said by the seasons.
Yep, I would accept.
It is a form of time.
Yeah.
My next answer was an atomic clock.
Okay.
Analog clock.
Yep.
The tides.
So, yeah. Well, I've got moon cycle. Yeah. I suppose. Yeah. Yes.
I put the age and/or height of my children.
I would accept that. Yeah. Yeah. I said it was fairly nebulous.
I've got
Is
a
that
pendulum-driven clock.
Yeah.
It's like a grandfather clock.
Yeah.
And my last one, which I would claim is part of my age, is how parched I feel in the night.
For some people, that would be less PC, and it would be number of trips to the loo.
That's true. Okay, I will. You may both have. Mark, you can have half a point for the last one.
I genuinely do. I find it's like I'm in the night going, oh, it must be 2 o'clock or something. Okay.
Oh, no, okay. If you would guess what time it was at that point, I will accept that. And I expect a Discord message at 2 o'clock to tell us all what time you think it is before checking.
I'll be honest, because I would obviously look at my clock on my watch to kind of on my phone to bring up Discord in order to comment on it. It's like, oh yes, look, it's 1:37.
Verifying your time guesstimate. Okay.
Yeah, I'll wake up my wife and say, hey, what time is it?
Yes, I'm sure she would be delighted by that. Okay. What did you get for question number 2? I've had the time of my life.
I've got it wrong. I wrote Flashdance, and I know it's not that because that's the Kevin Bacon one, isn't it?
Yes, it is not. The movie was.
And I owe it all to you was the end of the line.
Oh,
and was it Dirty Dancing?
The last line of the chorus. Now I've had the time of my life. I've never felt like this before.
Yes,
I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you.
I just put I've never felt this way before was my line, so I just went straight for the film.
It was complete the chorus. You don't get a point for that. What was the movie, please?
Yeah, I got it wrong.
Dirty Dancing.
It was Dirty Dancing. You may have a point for Dirty Dancing.
Have we been checking on the people's on the comments whether they've been also? Some people if they're guests.
Brandon was talking about his bathroom visits.
Oh yeah.
I assume that's a measure of time, but it could be a delightful oversharing. Question number 2: which invention made it necessary for English towns and cities to introduce a nationwide standard time instead of local times?
I've got a guess. Was it the telephone?
No.
I thought it was something that you'd referenced earlier. I thought it was the atomic clock in Greenwich.
No, also not. That's what became the standardized time, but it wasn't the invention that standardized the time nationwide. It was the invention of rail travel. So
people were moving fast enough that you noticed.
Until then, local time was determined in each town by a local sundial.
I see. I would argue.
As 1840, they still had local time.
I would argue that East Yorkshire still is kind of not a standardised time, because if you went on the trains there, you'd at least think it's 1970s. In fact, that's a lie. They've actually upgraded a lot of their trains recently, but as up to 10 years ago, you would have gotten from the train and kind of gone, "Is this the 80s still?"
I love those trains.
I love.
So there you go.
For the record.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Question number 4. Give me 5 different types of watch. Only 5, Luke. Not 6. Okay. Definitely not 10.
Take turns.
Yes,
sure.
Please.
You can go first, Mark.
Casio.
Timex.
Apple.
Ooh, that's a smart one. Longines.
Good nod to the smart one, by the way. Nintendo.
Ooh,
and I can go and get one off the shelf if you like in a moment.
Nintendo watch.
Definitely.
Oh, you're such a geek.
Go with an easy one of Rolex.
Nice.
I completely forgot about that. Schwartz. Is that one?
No.
Schwartz. Do you mean swap?
No, Swatch.
Oh yeah, maybe I do think that.
Swatch
Google
Secret Crystals, isn't it?
I'm just going to Google it because I feel as if that maybe.
It might be.
You have Schwarzkopf. That's hair stuff. It's very unrelated, but it's a thing.
Yeah,
where are we up to?
Oh yeah, Swartz.
I don't know what number have you got?
I was on the 4th one there.
Is it my turn?
It must be.
Let's go with Seiko.
Sanyo, is that one?
Oh, I've not heard of it, but Becca is Quizmaster.
Well, I mean, you've slightly gone off on a watch tangent because you've gone with brands, and I was looking for things like kinetic, analog, digital.
Oh, I can do that too.
Aviation,
mechanical, quartz, automatic, solar, field, dive, tourbillon. There's so many.
Give yourself some ticks, Mark, if you can verify that the names you made up are actual brands of watch.
I put a T in the Swartz. I was meaning Swartz, but not Swartz.
I accept your
postmodern spelling. Sanyo is one, but like an old-fashioned one from the 80s.
Nice.
And at the end of these quiz questions, I'll go and get my Nintendo watch.
What a geek. Right, question number 5 to the nearest minute. What time did our favourite Time Lord first appear on the BBC on the 23rd of November, 1963?
Go on, Luke.
Mine is a complete guess, but I've gone with 8 minutes past 7 in the evening.
Oh, very good. I went with 8 o'clock. I just went through.
Interesting. The time was 5:16 and 20 seconds.
Goodness me, that's a lot earlier than I would have thought.
Isn't that early? I thought that's so early in the day.
I put 6 p.m. originally and then scribbled it out. And then I changed it to
You would have been so close.
But still, no cigar. I'm just going to go get my watch. 1 second.
Okay. Little musical interlude should follow with Mark going off screen to go and get his super geeky watch. And he can't hear at the moment. And he's back.
Hello, I'm back again. Technically, it is made by Xeon, actually. But that is my Super Mario Bros.
Does it play games?
Yeah, it's a little platform game.
Oh, that's amazing.
Marvellous.
So I guess technically I didn't get one for that one because it's not Nintendo, it's Xeon. But it's got the Nintendo brand all over it.
I think that counts. Most watchmakers, or I say most, many watchmakers take a movement, essentially the bit that moves and tells time in a watch, put it in a case, and they design the case, but they buy in the movements. So I would argue that is a Nintendo watch.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
How did we all do?
What are your scores, please?
Oh.
2.
I think I got 11.
Nice.
Oh, right. Okay. I was taking up the ones that I didn't get right. In that case,
it's out of 14. Out of a possible 14 marks. I'm slowly slipping down on my kneeling stool.
11 then. I got 11 out of 14.
That's a respectable
So what did you get, Luke?
I also got 11. It's clearly the right score to get.
Yeah.
All the best people get 11.
Folks, leave in your comments or get involved. Do we need to kind of share things on our Discord as well about kind of for those people who want to kind of feedback their scores as well, just so that people feel part of the...
Yes, they would have to honestly pause at that moment and then write down their things and then continue to play. If they're going to do it with honesty and integrity,
I just meant like just to feedback. How many did they get out of 5 or 14? That was all I was meaning.
Yes, but what if they're watching back? They have had to have paused at the end of the quiz before we went into our answers to then add up. Otherwise,
I just thought people would be nice and kind of neutral and be, honest about that sort of thing.
maybe, Mark.
And interestingly, sorry about
That's
that.
the next generation attitude, isn't it?
I was just checking, by the way. I still have Stream Deck controls. I can still alter the how we lay out on the screen, but I can't control anything else, which
This
some
is
would say
intriguing.
is pointless. I think basically, Google Chrome has crashed, basically. So therefore, that'll be fun. But yes, thank you, Becca. Continue the conversations in Discord, download the app, get involved. I think it's a good opportunity. And we also have opportunity to share Geeks Gallery and things on there. Which
that is Mark's face going, I don't know if I can play Geeks Gallery.
No, I can't, but can you? Is it down on below?
It's not a video, is it?
It's a PowerPoint, it's a slide. Present.
I've got overlay, video clips,
down at the bottom, middle.
Background music.
No. In the middle of the screen, as in.
Oh, right. On PowerPoint. No, because I don't have your slides.
Can you not bring it up on present? Is it not loaded onto the computer already? I can't do it.
Hang on, bear with. Slides. I have no slides.
Oh.
No, because it's.
I'm going to do something a bit more creative then.
Ooh.
Oh, hello. Right. For folks on podcast, we are just trying to sort out the old Geeks Gallery, which you won't be able to see out anyway. I have a cup of tea at this moment. I'm just going to get a HDMI lead.
Brilliant. I think it's going well, Luke. What do you think?
It's going excellently.
Slick as always. The height of professionalism.
Was that also exciting for people watching?
Yeah, so exciting.
Sound of me whistling and otherwise. I have got some control here because I have my. I'm going to go old school though. 1 moment.
He's gonna get out an overhead projector and draw them onto OHP slides.
No, I haven't picked that up yet. Of course.
He's gently scratching things onto a chalkboard.
Yes, always. Right, I'll tell you what. Sorry, folks, that this is going to be a little bit more brutal, but I'm just going to do this. And can you bring up a different screen so I'm slightly bigger, maybe?
Let's make Mark bigger. There we go.
In fact, can I just spin it around that way? No, I can't. So that was from last week. That was Tom sharing those sort of things. Lydia has been, bless her, sharing a little kind of opportunity to go and pet cows and then to make
cows. Look at that. I'm so impressed with that cow.
And I think what I really like about this, can you hear me, by the way? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. Is that it's kind of mixing and matching your geekiness, isn't it? It's not just about one form of geekiness. That's proper, really good work.
That's a clay cow.
Mm.
Yeah. There you go. A little bit closer, but it's licking as well.
Look at that. There's sheer talent in there. Oh.
In fact, can I do that as well?
Is that a nose picking moment there?
No, I think she's giving it some food.
Okay. I've just shifted the angle. It does look like her thumb is inside the cow's nostril.
So there's photos. So I've just put myself up on the screen as well.
Hello, Mark.
And there is quite another cow looking, but this is what was it, Icecraft or whatever? Not Icecraft.
Sugarcraft.
Thank you, Sugarcraft. which for some reason reminds me of the Cadbury's bunny. Don't know why. It's that kind of like personifying animals, but it's very cool. Very cool.
So
Very
good.
and very Christmassy too.
Yeah, everyone needs a
and then
Christmas clown.
a bit more 40k and 2000 AD.
Those are tiny, considering that they're standing on a cork.
Mm.
They're minute.
Yep.
They look great as well, so well done.
I mean,
Yeah.
that is, I'm not
And
even sure my eyes would let me do that.
And that's the mashup between kind of Judge Dredd, isn't it? Which is
so these are I'm trying to remember what they're called. I can't remember the name in 40k, but they've got a special name. Essentially, they are justiciars and the police of the 40k universe for humanity. But they just so happen, by pure coincidence, and it's not at all any sort of infringing on copyright, to look a lot like Judge Dredd. And so, I'm really impressed with how he's been able to combine those two together. So, it's really good. Really, really good.
And then just some more little pictures of board games and things, which I'm always there for.
Mm.
And one more. Whoops. And every time I see someone playing, I'm just there going, "Oh, I wonder how they do it. How do you play these games, and how does the games work?" Anyway, there we go. Ka-chow.
Okay. Brandon's score was in. He got 7. So maybe not the best people get 11, because all of our people are the best people.
Absolutely. 7 or 11. They are,
7 or 11.
the shop
they
is.
Beautiful.
Very good. Very good. Well, so thank you, folks, for sharing your geekiness, and you can, of course, be part of that kind of sharing on our Discord, and just upload a comment, upload a photo, and things like that. I think Discord is quite straightforward, and follow the link in the Jubidu because I know it can feel a bit strange kind of loading up a new app and things, but it's quite a good safe place, safe server to just have chats, share bits, information. If you're interested in being a guest on the show as well, that'll be a good place to do as well. Speaking of guests, blimey, we have kind of we have blasted through, haven't we? It is 10 minutes to go because we have been so chatty and we've been so lumbered with problems. Luke, in 8 minutes, would you like to talk about something?
Absolutely. So Whistle Stop Tour of Watches. It was about 2 years ago. I decided for my birthday I would really love to get a watch. And I didn't really know a whole lot about watches at all. I knew that there was something on your wrist that told time. Other than that, I didn't really understand how they worked. I knew that some of them could be incredibly expensive and that some of them could be really cheap. But it was just this thing. You put a battery in it and it just goes. It tells you time. So I went down an enormous rabbit hole online learning about watches, and they have become one of my favorite things. So essentially I began looking around for a watch that I could get because I wanted something that would last me a decent amount of time, something that I could look after. And slowly I started picking up, there are differences between different types of watches. You've got your kind of traditional watch. So I have here a delightful Casio. It is, as you can see, a digital watch. It runs on a battery. This is what is described as a quartz watch. Now, I didn't really know why the word quartz was on many watches and clocks that you see around. I remember in school thinking, that's weird. I know that's a rock. Why is that written on the clock on the wall? I kind of just brushed it off as a child, thinking this is probably just, a brand, maybe, just sort of the way they describe watches. No, it is in fact incredibly interesting science. So the reality is that inside each battery operated watch, almost every battery operated watch, there are some different ones, however, inside almost every battery operated watch or clock, there is a tiny, tiny piece of quartz. It is wrapped in copper, and then an electrical pulse is passed through that, and quartz happens to resonate at such a rate that you can almost exactly measure the length of time that we count as a second, which is why quartz watches pulse at a rate of a second. When you see a second hand going around, it ticks. Whereas, so interesting, quartz, very interesting. I thought that's what all types of clocks were. I had no idea that other types of clocks existed other than really old clocks. My grandpa has a grandfather clock that we used to wind as children, and my sister and I would argue over who got to wind the clock at the end of the day. And it was a pendulum that swung, measured time, not particularly well. You had to change the time probably about every week or fortnight to make sure it was staying on track. But that was a different type of clock. Now, that is the sort of clock that all clocks were until the 1980s. It was the 1970s and 80s that quartz clocks were discovered. And before that, all clocks were what was known as mechanical. Now, you have your large traditional mechanical clocks that operate by a pendulum, or you have, now I can do the fun of getting my birthday present out, you have watches and clocks that run using a spring. So I don't know if you can see, but the second hand on my watch here is not ticking in the sense of jumping from second to second. It's more kind of sweeping across.
Oh, yeah.
So what's happening here is you have inside this a tiny, tiny spring. Now, this spring is incredibly tightly wound and then runs a train of wheels that then, through incredibly intricate mechanics, manage to measure time. Now, they don't measure time quite as well as an electrical watch, but to within a degree that, of 2 to 3 kind of seconds per week, you kind of lose or gain. And so that is how people used to measure time. And it's something that, like I say, I went down this rabbit hole, and suddenly, rather than these things just being a function, they started to become quite beautiful to me.
Yeah.
There were this intricate part of the universe that, when you look at it from a faith perspective, something that God has woven together with physics and biology and chemistry, but all of that sits in the wibbly wobbly, timey wimey mess of time. And that is something that, through human ingenuity, we can measure just about. And so that, and the fact that it can be done without any electricity, it is all done through mechanics. And it was one of these things where I just started to get really into the idea of this and the beauty of this. And it is something that has captured the imaginations of people throughout history. And it's always been to try and serve a function of telling the time. But alongside that function, people have decided, well, we can make that function something incredibly beautiful and expressive. You have these gorgeous machines that, instead of just being kind of like we talked about, kind of that, the metaverse style, where it's like, this is something we're trying to push to you. It's something where it's saying, we're going to make something incredibly beautiful, and so you can come and see it. So inside of these tiny, tiny little things that we take for granted and sit on our wrists is incredible science and incredible beauty. And it's something that has spoken to me in a way I didn't imagine. And so, like I said, I went down a rabbit hole, which resulted in me having on my wish list quite an expensive watch. Now I began saving up all my pocket money like a good boy, being very careful not to spend frivolously. And eventually, in combination with an incredibly generous family. For my 30th birthday, I have been able to buy myself a watch. Now, my intention with this is this will be an item now I own for the rest of my life. That it will be something that travels with me, that I will look after. It speaks to me incredibly personally around the importance of the permanence of things. Sits with the importance of caring for our environment, not just disposing of everything, but actually this is something that if I look after it, it will stay with me and journey with me. And also, if God forbid the world does come crashing down around our ears, I do not need a battery after a couple of years in order to tell the time. I will still be able to tell the time regardless of the electrical situation around me. I will have that reliability, which I really appreciate. It gives me that slight reassurance that should the apocalypse come, I will still know what time it is.
The zombies are attacking and the apocalypse is here. I'll know exactly.
Well, I can tell them you're far too early. It's your appointment hasn't arrived yet.
It is not my time.
A brief question. As someone who loves kind of the I don't want to say old fashioned or the ones that are clocks that go past the fads of watches. What do you do the new kind of Apple Watch where for podcast viewers I'm doing a little pinchy motion because I've seen an advert recently of where you can have your watch on your hand and with a pinch you can kind of set timers and things like that with Apple Watch.
It's one of the things I don't mind them. I had a smartwatch myself for a few years. My frustration with them again comes down to impermanence. Because I had it was a Samsung Galaxy S3 watch. I spent a decent amount of my money on it. However, then within 2 to 3 years, it was outdated. They'd stopped pushing out updates for it, and it was starting to become really unreliable. It would start to glitch out and things like that, which I'm the sort of person, when I get a phone, I like to make that phone last as long as I can. Because I feel like these, machines that we get hold of, we can very easily become used to, I get a new phone every year or every 2 years, when actually there's some really valuable stuff inside that phone that we don't have a whole lot of on the planet. So it's quite important not to just throw them away if you can. So I really enjoyed having it, and the usefulness that it gave of, being able to track my steps really well. I could set it up so that it would measure the length of time I went for a run. I could see messages, all incredibly useful. But also, like I say, it only lasted 2 years. Whereas a watch, even I got myself a relatively cheap Casio. This will last a long time. Admittedly, it is broken because my daughter threw it on the floor. However, I'm going to get it repaired because it's part of my watch journey. It was my first what I kind of call proper watch, and so it means something to me. And the fact that it was smashed by my daughter at one point, that will be a story that again journeys with me. And this will last, even though it's a bit cheaper. It will last if I look after it and don't hand it to a baby to play with. It's also got teeth marks, just all of the lovely things that appear when you have a child. So it's like I say, I don't begrudge anyone who uses them or enjoys them, but just not for me, I think is my perspective on that.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm going to say also, a couple of weeks ago, actually, before we knew we were going to talk about this, I saw on YouTube, is it Kenneth Williams? Can you remember Kenneth Williams from Carry On? Who's famous for going, matron, and things like that.
That was uncanny, Mark.
He's on Tomorrow as well, on Black and White, talking about kinetic watches. And he's there kind of going, oh, and you'll see that you can use it with it. Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah. He talks about, and he kind of gives this kind of really knowing looks of kind of like, look how fantastic these are. That it doesn't even need a battery. It just kind of works on kind of the movement of kind of the wrist sort of thing, and it kind of brings out a millimeter, milliamp. No, is it milliampemeter? Anyway, a little measuring thing of milliamps, and he kind of goes, oh look, shows it. And it's just, yeah, it is fascinating technology, isn't it? And yeah, I think you're right. We do take these things for granted. That's really good, really good. I'm aware that we're coming to a close. I'm sorry, Luke. We've spent so long faffing.
That's all right. If anyone has any more questions, pop them in the Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, thank you, Luke, for sharing about that. And we'll have to bring you on to talk about the other things that you were wanting to talk about as well another time.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's cool. By the way, I've regained my access to my computer. So I'm going to use that power to get rid of Luke in a moment. Is there anything else left to say? Or are you going to... anything else?
No, I think that's all from me.
Bless you. Thank you again, Luke, for coming on and sharing a little bit. And
bye all.
And now over to Becca.
Wait.
Hello. So for podcast viewers, we are still kind of finding it hilarious by looking at each other across webcams because yes, we're not in the same room, but we're pretending to do little high fives across the screen. Really good podcast viewing for nobody other than ourselves.
Little things. Did you say something? Because I just missed it.
I think before we did the whole, I was going to look across to you to give our final little thoughts and things.
Yes, I'm going to end. It's not. I don't think it's a blessing, but it's a little farewell of however you geek, wherever you geek. May you do so with joyous wonder, endless curiosity, and a hope-filled application of your God-given imagination for what could be. Because that's why we geek.